find this to be unacceptable.
Tonight, leaders at Manitoba's largest hospital are working to fill gaps after 4 of 13 casual nurses leave a program for sexual assault survivors. That story coming up.
This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Thank you for joining us. We begin tonight with news that a Winnipeg-based job training program that helps people overcome employment barriers will soon be back up and running. Build Inc. was forced to close at the end of last year after failed funding negotiations with the province, but now the province has changed its mind. CBC's Brittany Greenslade has more.
It's been a long few weeks for Sean Hogan and his team at Build Inc. after having to close up shop on its training program right after Christmas.
It was heartbreaking because training has been like our heart and soul for a long time, like since we were founded in 2006.
Today, his heart is full. The province has come to the table with a $285,000 bridge grant. That means training can resume next month.
Build is back.
Hogan says it will allow 9 people to go through the roughly 4-month program, and he's hopeful they may receive money through another provincial initiative, which would let them train another 61 this year.
It means food on the table for so many families. It means a paycheck for people who have never earned a paycheck. It means that there's people who want to make a change in their life, and maybe this Christmas they're not going to be locked up.
It's a program that changed Kendra Amo's life 4 years ago.
If it wasn't for that training program, then I really wouldn't be here.
The now 25-year-old was struggling with addiction at the time and never found a place where she fit in until Build. Now she's excited to give back to others who started out just like her.
It's really exciting. I can't wait, to see all these people. Like, what if, I see myself in somebody and it's like, hey man, I know what it's like and this place will really, really be able to help you.
Brittany Greenslade, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The Manitoba government has agreed to settle a lawsuit filed on behalf of former residents who say they were abused at the Manitoba Developmental Centre. If approved by the courts, the settlement will see the Manitoba government pay $17 million in a fund for residents of the Portage La Prairie facility. The proposed settlement contains other measures as well, such as an endowment fund. A court hearing has been scheduled for May to determine whether the agreement will be approved. The centre is scheduled to close next year. 4 nurses have resigned from the province's sexual assault examination program. The program has faced staffing shortages, creating concern that some survivors are unable to access timely care. Hospital officials are now scrambling to fill shifts. Health Minister Audrey Gordon says the government committed to funding a 24/7 program a year ago, but now cannot guarantee they can do that immediately.
I find this to be unacceptable, and that this is not aligned with our government's commitment to Manitobans who experience trauma such as sexual assault.
Gordon says 6 of 7 new full-time nurse examiner positions have recently been filled. Staff from other units in the hospital, though, will help staff those remaining shifts. A downtown Winnipeg hotel has been deemed a health hazard and forced to close. Provincial health inspectors declared the Windsor Hotel too filthy and unsafe. About 20 long-term residents were forced out as a result, some to shelters. An inspection 3 weeks ago found an accumulation of dirt, broken windows, doors, plumbing fixtures, and heating problems. The province says new owners are working to secure the building. Well, shock and disgust, that is what a Toulon family felt when they found bed bugs at their hotel room at the Canada Inns connected to the Health Sciences Centre. Whitney Bergstrom's son was at HSC for a medical procedure. They rented the room at the hotel so they could stay there while he recovered. She says within a couple of days, her husband was covered with bites. Bergstrom says they were offered another room, but she says they expected the hotel to have higher standards.
The bugs were coming out of the hole in the mattress that he was catching them in a cup. Like it was, I can't even, I'm speechless, truthfully. It was, and with everything going on, it was just something we didn't really need to deal with. Because then you're worrying about tracking them. Are they in our clothes? Are they in our bags?
Shared Health says the hotel is independently owned and not run by the hospital. CBC reached out to Canada Inns for a response, but we have still not heard back. The Winnipeg Art Gallery's Laychuk has hired a new assistant curator for Indigenous and contemporary art. Her plan is to change how people think about what Indigenous art is. CBC's Meteorologist has her story.
We like to stop here at the Visible Vault because there are about 500 shelves full of Inuit carvings, and they're all organized by community.
Marianne Redhead is looking forward to doing things differently. Less than 1% of the art in the Winnipeg Art Gallery is by First Nation or Métis artists. Redhead wants to change that. She wants to bring in more art by Indigenous artists who are from the Treaty Territories in Manitoba. She says she loves when she's giving a tour of Laychuk and someone recognizes a piece of art made by a family member.
That is my hope too, is that people will come and see something that their relative made. And just get really inspired and excited by that.
The 31-year-old doesn't have an extensive art history background, but she was involved in a renaming art project at the WAG. She researched pieces featuring Indigenous people that had offensive titles and brought in Indigenous elders and knowledge keepers who renamed the artworks. Redhead also wants to focus more on hope and joy in Indigenous art and what the future looks like for Indigenous peoples.
I think there's a time and place, and there needs to be space for those for trauma and to grieve and all that. And I want to make space for that too, but there's also moving forward and looking forward.
Redhead knows she has a huge responsibility to connect with young Indigenous artists and include them in the art gallery. Nampande Lande, CBC News, Winnipeg.
All right, let's take a look at downtown Winnipeg tonight. Southeastern Manitoba and Northwest Ontario are on track to get another accumulating snowfall. We're expecting some in the Winnipeg region as well. Meteorologist John Sauder has the details when we come back.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. The trade and upgrade event is on now.
Well, some weather alerts to tell you about tonight, and this is that spring snowstorm that was moving up through the U.S. Midwest and into northwestern Ontario. We have a special weather statement for the southeast corner of the province. Amounts not all that high, but farther east you're looking at 15 to 20 centimeters, a weather advisory, and then a snowfall warning in effect in northwestern Ontario. Here's a look at that system as it moves through into the overnight period. This is 2 in the morning on Wednesday, and you can see that in through the, white shell areas early in the morning, and I think even some flurries here in Winnipeg. But in the morning, a lot of that accumulating snow is off to the east of us, and then we should start to see some clearing in the afternoon. Amounts not all that impressive here in Manitoba over the next 24 hours. Perhaps Piney picking up 7, I think 7 to 10 in Sprague as well. A couple of centimeters in Winnipeg, but the 15s and 20s, even the 25s, are out into northwestern Ontario. Here in the city, we'll start to see some light snow overnight. -8, the temperature overnight. A few leftover flurries in the morning, and then some sunny breaks in the afternoon, bit breezy at -3. And then we dry out, really, and warm up toward the weekend. Still -1 on Saturday, but cloudy with a chance of flurries on Saturday.
Thank you, John. That is your late news for this Tuesday. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We'll be back with you again tomorrow at 6 and 11. Have a great night.